31-year-old divorcee Saira Ali Ahmed hit the headlines when she married Britain's most notorious prisoner, Charles Bronson, after a whirlwind romance.
I simply followed my heart, as I do in everything I do.
The relationship with Bronson shocked family and friends, who couldn't understand how a translator in a women's centre could fall in love with such a violent man.
I come from a very strict Muslim family, and at the age of 19, I got married. It was a forced, arranged marriage. He was a very abusive man from the beginning. I fell pregnant with Sami, my daughter.
Having broken free from an arranged and abusive marriage, Saira didn't expect to find a future husband in the tabloids.
I didn't think much of that photo, and then I just put it away. A few hours later, I picked it up again, and I just had to look at it.
Saira had become infatuated with a man she'd never met. Britain's longest-serving prisoner. Born Michael Peterson, the former bare-knuckle boxer changed his name to Charles Bronson in honor of the lead actor in the Death Wish movies. Originally convicted for armed robbery at the age of 21 and sentenced to 7 years, he was given a life sentence after holding a prison education officer hostage. He's currently served 30 years behind bars, 24 of which have been in solitary confinement.
I was aware of the fact that, he went to prison for armed robbery. He took hostages and he threatened people. But I knew very well that he wasn't a murderer or a child killer or anything like that. And something in me said that he wasn't as evil as people described him. I tried and tried to stop thinking about him, this person in the newspaper. But it didn't work.
Despite his history of violence, Saira sent a letter to Bronson in prison.
It wasn't a love letter or anything. I described how I felt about him. I gave him my address, my phone number, and I think I sent him a photo myself, and I wrote back of the photo that I'm not trying to impress you, I just want you to see the person behind this letter. And then one day, 2-3 days later, I received a letter. I just opened the letter and I saw it was him, and I just screamed. He seemed quite a nice person, and he said he was fascinated that this is how I felt. And he was honored, and then he went on, and he told me a little bit about himself. And then a couple of days later, he actually phoned me. And I picked up the phone, and in a very deep voice, he said, "Hello, Saira, this is Charlie." I said, "Who?" He said, "Charles Bronson."
After just 3 months of correspondence, Saira visited Bronson in prison.
I walked in, and there he was. When I saw him, I felt as though the whole room lit up. He came up to me and then gave me a big hug and a kiss on the lips. And I was even more convinced that he was the one.
Meeting Saira in person appeared to have a dramatic effect on Bronson. The man who had spent 24 years in solitary wrote her a passionate letter.
For me, you must realize I'm obsessed with your beauty, with your body, with your mind. It is me who is now obsessed. Before even I visited him, in one phone call, he said to me, he talked about marriage. He said, "Do you know that we're going to get married one day?" I said, "Yes, I do."
After only a few months of knowing this violent convict, Saira was prepared to take a significant step forward in their relationship.
I walked in, and then we all sat down, and then he got the ring out and put it on me and said, "Will you marry me?" I said, "Yes."
Leaving her home today, Saira Rehman in no doubt as to why she's marrying one of Britain's most dangerous men.
I knew that I was marrying him for love. This time, nobody was forcing me like my first marriage.
Wonderful. Very happy. Not nervous at all. Are you looking forward to seeing him? Definitely.
I remember staring at him for a while, you know. He stood out. I thought, you know, wow.
After the wedding, Bronson was escorted back to his cell by prison officers. His bride went to the reception party, alone.
That was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. At one point, he previously recorded a tape and he asked his friend to play it.
Hello, babe. I'm no longer a danger. I changed the day I married you. New chapter of my life. Our life. Our future. People need to understand that and get away from all this nonsense of Britain's most dangerous man. What a load of crap. What a load of bollocks. I'm Britain's most loved man.
I was all right until then. And when I heard his voice, I think that was it. I couldn't hold myself anymore. I ended up crying or something.